Hi guys, welcome back to Naked Security Live. I'm Harry, joined by Doug as always.
Hello folks.
And today we're going to be talking about smart speakers.
Yes, we are. And very carefully, because we better not say what the magic phrases are on the video in case it all
comes
goes
up.
pear-shaped.
You never know, know. So what we're going to talk about is the whole thing about eavesdropping and smart speakers listening to you when you think they aren't, or if they shouldn't be. So we did an article which was a few days ago about a little test that's being carried out about 19 times a day. These smart speakers are listening into your conversations.
Yes, you say a little test.
A little test.
It's
it
not
was
little
little
in some ways. It was
little,
a collaboration between Imperial College London and Northeastern University, which I believe is in Boston, Massachusetts.
Yep.
And what they did is they figured, let's play some stuff at the common, what do you call them, household assistants, home assistants, smart speakers. So they tried, I think, Siri, Alexa, Google Assistant, and Microsoft's Cortana. So those are the devices, you plop them on your table, and then basically, if you want them to wake up automatically, they have to be in sort of background listening mode. And when you say their magic phrases, I've got them written down here, I don't know whether I can say them. I'll say, hey, non-Siri, not Alexa, okay, not Google, and hey, not Cortana, then one of those devices will wake up. So they took, I think, was it 150 hours of Netflix video, and they just played it at these devices one after the other.
125, sorry.
125 hours.
125
hours.
Hours.
What a relief.
Yeah,
a whole day, a whole 25 hours of not having to watch video continuously. And you imagine that you'd imagine that at some stage the videos are going to say a phrase that either is one of those words because maybe it's a documentary about smart speakers for all you know, or they're going to be a phrase that's similar enough that the speaker will wake up. And they said that 19 times a day was the worst, and I think 6 or something was the least. So they were triggering fairly often. Now imagine you wouldn't have video playing all the time in your household.
Exactly. Not 125
if you
hours
had
straight.
or if you had a radio on in the background or something, and people do leave the television on, then it could happen that the device will wake up, realise it wasn't supposed to, and then go back to sleep. And I think they said that even in cases where the device realised, whoa, I wasn't supposed to do that, it would take a few seconds to settle down. And of course, because it's then active, it's supposed to be listening to your data at that time. It's supposed to be uploading it to the cloud so it can process it in real time. And that led to this fear, wow, how often are these things in real life eavesdropping essentially by mistake? Exactly. So we're not suggesting that they're listening all the time. We're not suggesting that Amazon or Google or Microsoft or Apple are out to get you. It does that if you put one of these things down, is there a risk that it could start recording because it thinks you said the wake-up phrase? And the answer, common sense says yes, and this practical research says it can actually happen probably more often than you might think.
Yeah, exactly. So is there any specific kind of speakers, or is there something that we should be looking at specifically, or is this the case for any kind of home assistant smart speaker?
Well, I think the deal here, Harry, is that the problem, if you think about it from an engineering point of view, the term you'll normally hear is in-band signaling. And what that means is it's when you have a stream of data, it doesn't matter what it is, and something inside the regular data, you give it a special meaning. And then you have to hope that whatever that special sequence is doesn't turn up in real life, and it's rare enough that you can use it as a signal. And it's called an in-band signal because it means you can just let the device or the system go on normally, and you don't need a second microphone or a separate button or anything like that. So it's a very convenient way of operating it. But the problem with an in-band signal, as opposed to what's called an out-of-band signal, is that regular, genuine data can actually trigger a device into command mode by mistake. And anyone who's old enough to remember the good old, bad old modem days, you're a bit young for that.
I was going to say, I just smiled because I don't know what that means.
That was how you get online in the olden days, before ADSL and stuff. And modems that you connected to your phone line, basically most of them had this magic sequence in case so that you couldn't get locked out of the system. If 3 plus signs in a row came up in, say, the text you were sending to the remote modem, it would say, okay, whatever comes next, I'm not going to display to you, I'll treat it as a command. Because the idea was that how often does plus 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 appear in a document you're reading? The answer is very rarely. But it meant that jokers could then say, hey, read this lovely file, and you start reading the file and scrolling through it, and halfway through they put in the text plus plus plus, and then they put ATH0, which is the command to the modem that says disconnect the line. So you'd be reading, and actually the text you were reading would be responsible for cutting you off. Now this is the other way around. there's stuff that's supposed to be innocent inside what people are saying that actually has a special meaning to the device that calls it to turn on and start recording them. And the problem is you can't really avoid that problem unless you pick a word that you then somehow force yourself, remember never ever to use out of context.
Yeah,
And how can you do that?
Yeah.
Like, we've got this problem making this video, and when if you say to me, so what are the phrases to watch out for?
Yeah.
I better not say them.
Exactly.
Because if I do, people around the world may find their devices waking
all
up
gonna
and
be
go, oh, that
going
wasn't
off
supposed to
and
happen.
recording me,
So in a
yeah.
way, this is kind of an insoluble problem.
Yeah.
So even if you say, okay, I'm not going to use, what is it, hey, not Cortana, or
Yeah.
okay, non-Google, even if you change the phrase to something else, supercalifragilisticexpialidocious,
That would be one
the
hell of a
next time
sound.
that word comes up, because you're watching, what is it, I forget the film.
Yeah, I can't remember either.
The next time that comes up, you think, oh
Yeah.
no, they said the rare phrase, help.
Exactly, and that's exactly where I was going to lead on to here. So, you know, what can I do to kind of prevent, or at least just help myself come with this issue?
I think the problem is that people buy these devices, they stick them down, they don't use them a lot, but when they want to use them, they want them to be there. The idea is they're meant to be convenient.
Yeah.
So you don't want to have to walk up to the device, tap a button, which would, by the way, be an out-of-band signal. That would be a safe way of doing this, unless you actually touch. So speaking couldn't set it off. You get a separate action, which is not related to speaking. So nothing you said could start it up. But people don't want that. They want to be on the other side of the room and go. I nearly said the word Anon Lexa. I nearly said one of the ways. They want to say the magic supercalifragilisticexpialidocious, play my favourite music.
Yeah.
And they don't want to have to go to the device, but the problem is if you want that remote control, you're always going to have this risk. So one thing that our own Anna Brading suggested this when we discussed this very issue on the podcast a couple of months ago, is maybe what you need to do is reconsider whether you want this device essentially in your life, listening in all the time.
Yeah.
In the same way that if you don't want your children to overhear you swearing in the household, then don't swear, because sooner or later they're going to hear it and you can't make them unhear it.
Exactly.
You know, the same way that people say, oh, we need to get the dog in so we can give him a B-A-T-H, because they know if they say the word bath, the dog will knows that, oh, water, they'll hate it and run off.
Yeah.
And you can't avoid that problem. So maybe the way to do that is figure, maybe we don't want the device in our lives all the time, and have a period where you turn it on, and everyone knows it's sitting on the table, the light's on, and then as a family you can kind of interact with it. You can say, play my favourite music, you can ask it questions, you're kind of inviting it into the family, you're expecting it to eavesdrop. And then when you don't want to use it anymore, if you pull the power out, then you know it's not even listening for the wake up.
Exactly. Yeah. So
That's a sort of long way of saying is, you know, less is more.
less is more. Yeah. Exactly. Right. Well, thank you very much for tuning into the live stream. And if we haven't answered your questions on the live stream, I'm sure one of us will get around to answer them after we've done it. So yeah, thank you very much for watching. Until next time, and I'm going to have to run around really quickly and unplug my mic.
Yeah, don't take the mic with you.
Don't take the mic with you.
Yeah, thanks for listening, everybody. Stay secure and watch out for those magic phrases.